TownHall Heroes. Hello, everyone, and welcome you to TownHall Heroes, episode number 155. My name is Solid Jake. I've got Dunk Train and Bakery with me here today, and you know, normally the show is live, but rest in peace, Twitch.
Yep. Sad, but true.
The first time I've ever worn a Twitch shirt in my life. I have literally never owned Twitch merchandise somehow, right? That's bizarre. And I bought the shirt at Gamescom, and Twitch goes down on us.
You cursed them.
No.
It's all your fault.
But speaking of Gamescom, Dunk, how was your trip?
My Gamescom trip was amazing. I had a blast. I didn't expect it to be so fun. I have been to a lot of conventions. As far as like PAX West, E3, Gamescom, like as far as the actual going to the convention floor itself and like checking stuff out, I'm a little over that. I've been to a ton of those, but for me, like Gamescom was extremely fun because of like all the new Heroes content, how much cool stuff Blizzard had other than that, and like the people there, like I had a blast with the other HOTS community members, and the Blizzard staff there were all really like, they were hanging out with us. We got to see like a lot of their not like PR side so much. We got to like just chill with people. So it was a really good experience for me.
Baker Izzle didn't make it to Gamescom. What did you do in lieu of it?
We sat at home, we practiced, and we also played HGC games, which were on the whole pretty good, but obviously some weird things kind of happened in our Fnatic series. Didn't actually end up with the win, despite the fact we probably should have. But
spoilers.
No, I was really happy with how we played, and all in all, I'm not actually too disappointed with the result because it shouldn't affect our chances of actually going to BlizzCon, which is the goal. It just means that we do need to work extra hard and make sure that we do beat Expert and Team Liquid and make sure we are in the second seed.
Yeah. Well, for me, I mean, I just kind of want to echo a little bit what Dunk said on the Gamescom story, because we both got to go to Gamescom for a week, and I just got to give a big shout out to Blizzard because they straight up, they flew us out and they took care of us the whole way through. And I was super pumped because this was my first time visiting Germany, get to experience German beer, get to experience German food, get to experience Gamescom, the world's biggest video game convention. And holy crap, is it big. Holy crap, are there infinite people everywhere. So many smelly nerds. If you're one of those nerds and you were smelly, I'm sorry. But like, it was like, but when it came down to it, it was a magical experience. But I honestly have to give all of that credit to Blizzard. I think the con itself was really cool, but it was overwhelming in the scale and the scope. Like when I got to the convention, I wanted to be at BlizzCon Europe. That's all I wanted to be at. That's what I call that event for me, because the Blizzard area, Blizzard probably had the largest booth of any company there, because it's,
I think so.
What, Heroes?
Yeah, it really is.
Diablo, Overwatch, Hearthstone, World of Warcraft, StarCraft 2 and StarCraft Brood War, and then their own main stage where they had the video games live concert 2 nights there, cosplay contest, like hella content that was unbelievable. Bakery, what was your favorite thing of all of the videos and content that's not gameplay related that Blizzard released?
I'd say my favorite thing is definitely the Resurrecting Kel'Thuzad, I think it's called, the documentary series about like how Kel'Thuzad came about. They had that meeting, then they, you know, he did that paper design, and there's new episodes coming out all this week. I've been really enjoying that, so I'm definitely really looking forward to seeing the next few episodes. And yeah, that's definitely my favorite piece of content for sure. I'm really loving that.
Shout out to Kyle Dates for wearing his Bloodlust 2016 shirt in that video. Dunk, what was your favorite?
Well, I can't say the Kel'Thuzad thing now. I like I like the whole Kel'Thuzad like cartoon and the event they're doing. Like I think stylistically, Kel'Thuzad is a really cool hero. And he's got a ton of lore from the Warcraft universe, and this is like a cool way to approach all of that and like make it seem more impactful, you know? Like, yeah, it's a hero release. We're not getting like machines of war we're not getting maps and stuff like that, but we're getting like all of this cool content that goes with Kel'Thuzad that makes it feel like a bigger release, you know?
Yeah. It is. It's still a big release, though. The most wanted hero of all time. We're going to talk about Kel'Thuzad in just a little while. But, you know, when I asked a lot of people this at Gamescom, I interviewed various people, and the most common answer was actually the May cinematic for Overwatch. But that's not even mine. I'm like the only person that really sincerely just fell in love with the Hearthstone thing. As much as it's weird to finally be Blixar, Pixar meets Blizzard, you know, it's still something about it was really cool to me. And I'm that guy that grew up like playing a ton of Alliance as a kid in my childhood, and seeing that world being fleshed out in a different way. I know, make the faces all you want for the Horde, blah, blah. I played both sides. That was really fun to me to see like this, you know, kind of quirky end thing. Right. And, you know, as weird as it is, like I'm excited to have that kind of content to share with like the next generation, right? My children someday, because like who knows where Warcraft will be. But to me, Warcraft is such a special place in that, and just my life really beyond gaming, because I made so many friends playing the game. And that was a really, really fun thing to have the Hearthstone universe bring to the Warcraft franchise. So I don't know. I thought it was really fun. But honestly, Blizzard killed it. I think every franchise had some amazing stuff. StarCraft show matches, you name it. Like,
dude, like that was so much content to show 2 months and a couple days, like before, like 2 months and change, you know, before BlizzCon, and they've got like multiple cinematics, infinite content. It was insane. And
crap, like when you think about that, if they've just released Kel'Thuzad, like, did they blow their load too early, or is it like time for Deathwing? Like,
Deathwing boys?
Okay, let's not go down that road again. But I think it was interesting that last year Gamescom was like really comparable to BlizzCon, and BlizzCon was maybe like less hype compared to previous years of Heroes.
Well, let's retract. Gamescom was what, 2 heroes, 2 maps? It was Machines of War?
Machines of War, yeah.
What were the heroes?
Zarya and Alarak?
Yeah, you're right.
And BlizzCon was Ragnaros, who was super cool, and Varian, who was like a multi-class, who was super cool, but no map, like no event. So
last map we received was Hanamura. That went well. And do you think it's time for another map?
That went well.
Yeah, I think so.
I think for sure, time for another map.
I actually hadn't thought about that, like them not showing a map at Gamescom, but they did last year compared to not having a map at BlizzCon last year.
Because that was the Machines of War event, and this was like a different style event. This was more of I guess a loot box centric event, which I think we should be expecting a lot of, considering the Heroes 2.0 and the change for the infrastructure of the game, and the fact that they made the cartoon utilizing the 3 new main skins they've created for this content is like pretty badass. I don't think we'll get that treatment every time they do like an expansion like this, but who knows? Even like the summer event, that was a really, really good video that they made. Not the same style, but very, very fun.
I really like the animated trailer. Like when people were hyping up Kel'Thuzad on Twitch after like the teasers, I was like, I mean, Kel'Thuzad is cool, you know, I really want him, but where are these images from though? Like, I was really excited about the Blizz Heroes anime, and well, it was a bit short. It was really cool to get to see that that whole style. And Sergeant Hammer, she needs her upcoming rework. It's been leaked. She jumps out of her tank and just like punches people, you know?
So that you can't call that anime. That's animation. It's not anime. Like,
sure.
Yeah, there was way too many frames per second for it to be anime.
True.
But yeah, no, it was pretty baller. Let's talk about the actual content, the reworks at Gamescom 2017, and then we'll go straight into Kel'Thuzad. Medic Jaina Leoric, and Chromie all received updates in the Gamescom build. That build is live on the PTR right now, not live in live servers. I mean, Bakery, since I haven't got to talk to you and hear you at all, what is your favorite of the reworks?
Not Medic. That's
not
for sure.
Medic. We're going to save Medic for last then, because I know Dunk wants to talk about Medic.
What's my favorite? I really like the direction of Leoric. Like, I think making his basic attacks cleave was, like, super thematically relevant.
Yeah.
And the way that works is so exciting for me, as Leoric is a lane hero. I think somewhere where heroes has always been lacking compared to League of Legends is there are a lot of intricacies in League of Legends laning, and they're 1v1 like small mechanical things that Heroes was always missing. And I feel like one of those is you get to hit minions twice to try and wave clear, and then you run at them because your third attack is about to chunk them for like 100% extra damage. So playing around that makes laning a whole lot more interesting, and that step in the right direction was really exciting for me.
Dunk, would you agree? Is that your favorite?
Yeah, as much as I hate to agree, just it sounds like I'm copying Bakery now. I think it's not so much like the intricacies of the laning phase about Leoric that excite me, but I think it's a really cool auto attack style. Like even above and beyond what it actually changes about maybe your matchups or how you play the laning phase or something, like I think it's a really cool way to experiment with how your characters auto attack. Like we've seen some other unusual auto attacks, for example, like Tracer's Reload and stuff. And I think Leoric's Cleave Smash is like just a really cool thing to do. So it's my favorite from like the wow, this was really cool perspective.
I mean, I think everyone agrees pretty much that Leoric's is the most like impactful build playstyle wise. Like they've really kind of changed the way you know he feels, the way you can approach some of the situations, some of the talent diversity, which is really good. But for me, I'm loving the Jaina. Not only the new Dreadlord skin, because man, she is THICC, but it's also just those new talents. They feel really good, and I played more Jaina than Kel'Thuzad at Gamescom. Partially because I was letting, you know, the new players get the Kel'Thuzad games in, but partially because I'm just about that life.
Yeah, I think they needed to give Jaina Ice Block baseline. Like that was, I mean, that's like such a core part thematically of Frost Mage. It didn't feel right to have it at 20. That seemed absurd. And this was like a really cool way to do it without just giving it to you, you know, like it's not like Zool bone armor, right? Like,
right.
It's the quest. I think it's a cool thing. Like it's fun to have in the game.
Do you want to? Is there anything you want to talk about on Chromie or Jaina before we go on to Medic Bakery?
Okay. I mean, a quick side note. I thought the like home screen with Kel'Thuzad and Dreadlord Jaina is like super sick. Like I loved seeing this play out.
The fact that they
like,
actually included Jaina on this is like so good.
And she makes like a transformation. Like, oh man, what a great home screen.
Like I'm kind of disappointed they don't have that like as a part of her skin when you start the game. Like she could turn into Dreadlord Jaina like after the game starts or something. I don't know. Like because they have an animation, right?
So, I mean, it actually could work because there are specifically 32 seconds where nothing happens when the game starts, like to allow people to take turns and stuff. It'd be super cool if when she was like zapping in, she spawns as Jaina and then turns into Dreadlord Jaina.
Like, or maybe they change her taunt. They change her taunt so that she's like human form. I don't know. She has a new dance though. Let's look at that. The pole dance. Oh my god, it is so good.
God, it's got really high animation quality, hasn't it? The other thing I found really cool about Jaina was that Ice Blink is back. There was a Jaina rework not too long ago, but still decently long ago, where I felt they just kind of butchered what the character stood for. So I was really happy to see this one was like took her exactly back to where I saw Jaina in my mind. I think a lot of players of Jaina did too. So I was really happy about that.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think this is the one that's like, this is probably the rework that's like the least changed, but my favorite, like probably like the amount changed relative to how much it benefited the hero. I think this one was the highest ratio, right? Like she had the least changes needed, and they kept her true to her character, and like I think it's going to be a huge benefit to how it feels to play Jaina. The Chromie rework, like I think the combo thing is cool, but
at least there's an incentive to not just spam Qs, right?
Yeah.
There's an incentive to not just blindly throw out Qs. You're rewarded for intelligently throwing your Q and hitting one after the other. It's a little bit harder to actually hit max power on a Chromie without actually being decent with your Qs, not just full on like, I'm going to give Brand's talons and get value that way, right? So I personally like that change stylistically. It feels a little bit better to dodge a Q, not just like, oh God, when's the next one coming, right? But
yeah,
it's not. I don't think it's going to change her too much where she stands. I think she's still going to be the same hero in her like position in the game. So medic, both of you, support players, both of you don't seem thrilled about it. Bakery, begin.
So conceptually, when I hear that they were going to switch medic to using this energy system for healing, I was super excited because this was actually an idea that I pitched on TownHall Heroes a long time ago. So obviously probably didn't listen to me since it was quite a while ago, but I'm really excited that like they also were sharing the same thinking of, wouldn't it be cool if you use energy and then mana management wouldn't be the be all end all of the hero. So I really like that, but the way that it's implemented has really killed all of my excitement for it. The way that I envisioned energy being used was you have 10 seconds of healing or 5 seconds of healing. It's a whole lot of healing, and then it recharges over 10 seconds. Very quick recharge, very quick to use. Kind of like Probius's mana in that regard. But how it's actually implemented is you have like 30 seconds to heal and then 30 seconds to recharge after not healing for 3 seconds. So it's like topping people off is like, like you kind of never want to do that. And then like, especially in Hero League, I feel it's going to be so frustrating. Like the games that I played, I was like, okay, I'm going to heal this guy up, and then I'm going to not heal anyone because everyone's going to be full, and I can regen my energy. And as soon as I was trying to regen energy, someone would just run in, and I'd need to heal them. I'd be like, God damn it, I just want to regen. Like,
yeah.
But I just the implementation of the energy mechanic has really not been satisfying for me.
Yeah, I felt really similarly. I'm not sure if it's just like a numbers change, like what you're saying in terms of the tempo of like healing, not healing, like that whole system. I mean, you could fix all that with just numbers tweaks, but like this current pass, I found like really frustrating to play because it felt like my downtime was so long, and like I felt like judicious usage of your mana on medic like felt really good before, and now it just feels like I'm kind of crippled if I have to like heal people a little bit here and there. Like I don't know, it's like the 3 second before your energy recharge starts feels so bad. It feels so bad.
Yeah,
like because I don't have any control over my teammates like positioning wise or whatever. Like I can't really do anything about that, you know.
Does it help at all if they make things like Caduceus feedback like built in, right? So that you, when you get those autos versus heroes, if that was a baseline thing akin to Tyrande's Q, where you're reducing your cooldown by auto attacking with Tyrande, if that was built into her kit, would that help at all, or is that not interesting enough?
I think they just need to tweak the numbers value on like how fast her energy drains and how fast it comes back and what the downtime has to be between those things. I don't know what the system looks like ideally where it still feels compelling to manage like your healing, but for me, like the resource management definitely missed the mark on this rework. I like, conceptually, I think it's okay that like Safeguard and Grenade don't take energy. It's actually like, I know a lot of people like really liked that, but I don't, like, that's pretty neutral to me. I'm not like a huge fan of the fact that those no longer take energy, but I'm also not super against it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle there. Like, I like the change, but I'm definitely not like hyped about that. But I do think that's the correct direction. It really is to me, the fact that you have so long to just stand there and heal.
Yeah.
And then you need to spend that time plus 3 seconds more doing literally nothing. It's like, oh no, it's like, what do I do? One of the issues that people have always levied against Uther is that his cooldowns are so long, and in between cooldowns, I just don't know what to do, right? I have nothing to do. I mean, first off, instead of having 2 abilities like Medic does, assuming you're waiting for energy to regen, like, Medic only has 2. Both of hers are also 12-second cooldown. She doesn't have, like, baseline cooldown. Well, she possibly might not have baseline cooldown reductions in her default build. So the other thing about Uther is that you can stand forward, you can auto-attack, and you have a stun. And you have, like, an ultimate. Medic's ultimates are 1 click and forget about them, or 1 click, use them, like fight over, or fight started. So that's not even like something you can do. Uther obviously has to use his ultimates in the fight. So it just feels like she literally doesn't have buttons. Like, here's the scenario, okay? You're healing someone up, you're fighting, you use Safeguard on them, you use E on them, you run out of energy. There is literally nothing you can do for 12 seconds other than run away from the enemy team because you don't want to get caught. And your only way to heal is to heal somebody else with Q. I really disliked her passive change as well, actually. The trait. That was the other thing I really disliked.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. So if you haven't played with it or seen it yet, she now, instead of healing after being out of combat, she heals herself anytime she's healing someone else. And it's, I don't know, it was interesting. Like, it seems a little better for healing off like the free poke that you tend to take from like mid-range random damage spells. Like, you know, there's like a Sylvanas W or like a random Asthma Bomb or just, you know, like arbitrary long-range damage that you couldn't really dodge or isn't worth focusing on dodging. It heals that better, but it's like, it feels a lot less rewarding where you like do that thing where oh man, I dodged some damage and I got out of combat for 5 seconds and now like I got a huge chunk of health back. Like, you can't do that anymore.
What just happened?
So I know that I know. Yeah, Jake, go to set level and set yourself to level 30 again, and look what happens to your health.
Oh my god.
So just quickly, this bug is basically if you cast the medevac when a medevac is leaving after dropping its people, the medevac you just casted will route itself to the like direction where the medevac that was leaving was going, which is just off the map. So yeah, it just literally flies off the map and kills screen.
Sorry, Doug. I'm sorry. I was.
Yeah, Doug. It's pretty funny, man. Like.
So here's one thing I've thought of, Bakery. What if the energy system on Medic, like what if once you started healing someone, your like energy just kept draining until it hit 0, regardless? Like, you can keep the beam on that same person, you can swap to someone else, you can stop using the beam at all, but the energy just guaranteed drains. So there's like a rhythm to like, okay, when Medic casts her heal, like, you know she's healing a shit ton, but then there's like a rhythm of wait until the heals are down or something. Like, because this system, I feel like this system just feels painful to juggle currently, not like rewarding for learning how to juggle it compared to mana.
I definitely agree. I don't know about that system. Like, I don't dislike the concept of it, and I wouldn't be against like seeing it in action, seeing how it plays. But the thing for me is I don't feel like their current, hey, she uses energy when she's healing, she regens it when she's not healing. Here you go. I don't feel like that system is flawed. I just feel like the way they implemented and the design they aimed for was flawed. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against that system, but I think, honestly, in my opinion, if they nailed this, like, hey, you can use energy very quickly draining, very quickly regenning, all about balancing, trying to like stop healing the instant you need to, never topping people off fully, leaving them like one tick away from full, so you don't waste your energy, try to keep it as high as possible. I feel like that like juggling act is much more interesting to me than anything else we've seen before with Medic.
They just gotta nail that though.
Yeah.
Right now, she just doesn't really feel that interesting. She just feels like, I don't know, worse.
Well,
probably.
Okay,
No,
I mean,
she's probably better because the grenade build is like
that's true.
insanely disruptive. So like power level wise, she's probably better.
I mean, if you've seen HGC this week, I think someone actually played Medic, didn't they?
Really?
Is he talking about himself?
Maybe.
We were traveling from Gamescom, so
yeah.
What's funny is we did actually see. We did actually get to see your Medic game. That was game 4, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the.
Yeah.
That was
We
the game
saw
of
that
Thrones.
one.
That was
Works
the
like
game
a
of Thrones.
dream right up until the last 1 minute of that game, and then yeah. But no, I don't know. I don't think Medic's that bad. I think she's honestly in a playable state right now. I don't think she needed like a buff or a nerf necessarily. I think she might be weaker next patch. That's my impression, just from the healing.
Interesting.
But I haven't played with this fabled grenade build, so maybe.
Well, it just basically hinges like, okay, if you hit 2 people with 1 grenade, the cooldown goes down to 1 second, so you can basically just keep chaining grenades. Like, it's pretty silly, but it requires the enemy team to be not very good. So
first timers
to be determined, yeah, whether that's powerful or not.
I mean, definitely will be really good in like Hero League, esports. Maybe not. Who knows? But I don't know. I think it's. I personally thought it was more fun. Just, you know, having that style, like having the energy bar is a different resource to have to manage. The mana always just felt kind of like, cool, I have unlimited mana and I'll tap well and get globes, and like, I don't know, it never felt like it was going to be an issue, because then again, you're not playing at a higher level, right? People are just feeding all they want, and if they're feeding too much, I just let them die. I'm that guy. But
can't heal stupid.
I like all the changes. Any final thoughts on Medic before we talk about Kel'Thuzad and such?
I really like the art changes they did to Grenade. Like, it feels like a super small thing, but for me, like, it rotating and the area made it much clearer to me, like, how Grenade will actually impact the fight, which I thought was just super cool.
Yeah.
No? Okay. What's your favorite of the new skins, guys? Zagara? Jaina?
I mean, it has to be Jaina, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Jaina.
Like, okay, the Death Knight Sonya looks sick, but like, favorite skin is Jaina. There's just no question.
Hundo, like easy.
I mean, it's just like.
I mean, they all look nice.
Can we can talk about our second favorite skin?
Right,
you know, because
like
there might
be.
Be
Jaina can never not be first. So if we just like chuck her out,
yeah.
That alternative Sonya skin I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly.
The helm off or the helm
I'll go find it. Well, it's the helm off, but she's also got like different weapons.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, of course I've seen.
She's got like rune blades, and they look amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the gear when you create a Death Knight, like a level 55 Death Knight. This is the gear you get. So the fact that they actually just did this, it's called Deathbringer, this set. That's why they called it Deathbringer Sonya. These are the weapons you start out with as a new Death Knight, and I don't think you start with a helm either. I think that you get the helm last.
The helm is the second set. There's like 2 sets of starter gear, and you're in the second set questing. So
and like how badass. Like, that is just, and it's also so funny because I asked Blizzard in an interview, I was like, did you guys plan this with Hearthstone doing their Frozen Throne expansion? They're like, no, it just kind of happened that way. I'm like, that's so cool. I'm like, so here I am, like, waiting for, like, they just did this whole, like, Illidan reboot. Next expansion is, like, the next Lich King is the bad guy, like, you know, for World of Warcraft. Waiting for it, guys. You heard it here first. But I don't know. It's definitely, it makes me want that. Like, whether or not that's a thing, I want it to be a thing. Because I dig this Frozen Throne vibe stuff for all of it.
Yeah, it's sweet.
All right, so the other change that we got in the actual Gamescom build is they've incorporated questing upgrades into the kill feed. So the kill feed is now an event feed in the game where you get to see whether your team or the enemy team has completed a quest, whether it's a portion of the quest, because, you know, some quests, it's like 15 out of 30, you get 2 seconds off your cooldowns on Kel'Thuzad, right? And then when you hit 30, you actually get the 75% spell power. That all being built in is nice. That's my wife vacuuming. Sorry if you have to hear that, Bakery. Stream shouldn't hear that.
Okay, nice.
Nice.
Is it that loud? I can mute my mic.
No, it's not.
No, it's okay now.
Okay.
The feed is actually really cool. I think it's amazing. Like, seeing the exact timestamp of when someone completes a quest and stuff too is sick.
I really like the general trend we're getting with, you know, the recent chat rework, like not too recently now, but XP numbers being added back into the game, like the XP breakdown at the top, and obviously like the event feed in the score screen. Like now we've got quest progress. I just really like that we're getting more and more information, because that's always exciting as like a pro player where you want to be using every single piece of information you can get. And with timestamps in chat, that makes it so much easier. But the event feed as well, knowing, like, having a pop-up, like, oh, damn, Convection just finished. We messed up, boys. Like, I just think that's super cool.
Like, Kel'Thuzad's level 4 is a self-resurrect. You collect 10 regen globes, and you have a self-resurrect available. Every time he completes that, the whole game knows. It's like, oh, shit, KT has res up. Like, we can burn it right now, or maybe it's not worth killing him, or whatever, right? But everyone in the game, not only your team, but everyone in the game has that information. And the sound it makes is like, you know, KT just finished his trait, 75% more AP, level 8. Like, holy shit, stay away from Kel'Thuzad. Like, run for the hills. That's a cool feeling to have in the game for sure.
Yeah.
I think it'll help people learn too. Like, learn the importance of those traits and those talents. Learn the importance of individual spikes. And I hope it's a continuing trend with these basically quest traits that we're seeing in some of these heroes now. Jaina, Chromie, Kel'Thuzad. I really enjoy that direction a lot.
I like it. I think Chromie and Jaina were really good choices too. I mentioned it when I was talking about Jaina, but like the fact that their two quests are both like things that really are thematically tied, like they're really important to like the theme of the character, or they feel really cool. Like locking them behind level 20 talents felt so bad because it felt like that was more of a part of the kit than a level 20 talent should be, you know?
Agreed.
Okay. So moving on to Kel'Thuzad and his talents, as you brought up, Jake. Phylactery of Kel'Thuzad. It's another resurgence of the Storm talent. We have seen a fair amount of those coming into the game recently.
Dunk literally said the exact same thing, but at least he said it's with death-themed people like him and Malthael. And as long as it stops there,
I like this one in particular because it's very difficult to collect region globes late game, generally speaking. Like, it's not like you can stockpile, 35 region globes and have 3 late game buybacks, right? Like, you get your 10 and then you get one buy. Let's say you use one buyback in like the early mid game or whatever, and then you get one more. Like, you probably don't get another. Like, you don't get a second buyback generally in the late game. Like, that would be weird. The cooldown is probably really long. I kind of like it, but that was my first concern too. Is like, oh god, I hope we don't get too many of these.
The thing that I really liked about this is I feel it's a similar direction to Diablo's trait, but I'd say done much better, where it's like there is a reward for having 10. So you don't want to lose. You don't want to just like pop it for no reason, right? Like and you actually have the choice to pop it, which is why I think it's much better done. But yeah, I just think it's a really cool talent, and while it is a bit of a worrying trend, I don't think we're like over the edge yet. Like if the next hero has one, then I'm pretty worried.
Yeah.
So far, I think we're good.
Deathwing's gonna just respawn your whole team.
And kill the whole enemy team.
Yeah.
Kill everyone in the field, and then you pick Mercy and res everyone in your team. It's like, it's perfect.
Hell yeah. Wait, doesn't Mercy have a new ult in Overwatch?
She does, yeah, but I guess that's a topic for a different show.
I guess so. I don't even play Overwatch anymore.
So his talents in general, Dunk Train, like, what are you thinking?
Well, do we want to talk about the kit at all first? Base kit?
Let's talk about the kits. Let's talk about the straight abilities.
Yep. Okay, so...
And his trait. So talk about that. Open with the trait.
Okay. So, really important to understand about Kel'Thuzad. He starts the game off, and he does okay damage, but most of his value is in crowd control. And then his trait is a quest that he gets when he starts the game. It gets a stack whenever he roots or stuns an enemy hero, and you stun them when you pull them. So basically he has 2 abilities in his kit that get these stacks, and as you stack it up, there are 2 unlocks. At 15 stacks, you get cooldown reduction on all your abilities, and at 30 stacks, you get 75% spell power. And when you get that spell power, you have like a huge power spike. So Kel'Thuzad, I feel like, is really going to be all about essentially making the most out of that power spike, getting it as fast as you can, and then getting as far ahead with it as you can to maintain your control. And it's a really cool trait to have.
So with that trait, he scales differently than in any other hero in the game. Typically, it's about 4% per scaling. I think it's 3.75 or 2.75. I forget the actual scaling for him per level, but he scales differently as a result because of how beastly 75% additional spell power just being unlocked, and at 2 seconds off all your cooldowns. Like, that is a monsterly powerful thing. But when you get to level 20, it's leveled, right? So it gives you that opportunity to be overpowered at level 8, right? You're gonna be if you don't capitalize on it, that gradually becomes less impactful as the game progresses. Level 12, less impactful. Level 13, 14, doesn't matter. It's not just about level 13 and 16. Kel'Thuzad is slowly getting tuned in with the enemy team. The later you finish this quest, you're basically, if you're finishing this quest at level 16, you drafted the wrong hero, right? You did not play Kel'Thuzad properly. You shouldn't be playing him on Cursed Hollow, trying to solo lane or something. That's just not going to work out. It's a Dragonshire, rotate with your team, or have a stun lockdown buddy to help you get those CCs on the W and the E to maximize.
So, about the abilities themselves. First ability Q, Death and Decay. It's a long wind-up projectile spell. When it strikes a target, it leaves an AoE behind. If it reaches max range and doesn't hit enemy targets, it does not leave an AoE behind, which is a really important distinction. Think Greymane Cocktail, where it doesn't explode if it reaches end of duration. Same with Kel'Thuzad's Death and Decay. And then W is Frost Nova, where it's a long delay, AoE damage, and then if they're in the center, they are rooted as well. So it's kind of like a Rag Smash, but think instead of the center being bonus damage and stun, the center is just the root on this ability. And then his third ability, which is the one that I think everyone is kind of freaking out about because the mechanics are so fun, is the Chains of Kel'Thuzad, which is his dislocation ability, I guess. It allows you to chain 2 targets to each other. So you can hit enemy heroes or enemy structures, nothing else. And whenever you cast this ability, if you hit one target, you'll be allowed to recast it, aiming at a second target manual aim on both, right? So it's a double skill shot essentially. But if you hit, you're rewarded with like a pull, a stun, just like super high value. The ability is like so fun to play with.
And they've created some cool talents that make it even more fun. Glacial Spike is the notable one. You can see the cast range in the Glacial Spike if you're watching the VOD. This is actually, it'll body block, has that half a second activate, give or take, before it begins. It does do damage when it explodes, but it's a target for your chain, right? You can do full combos in the middle of a lane with this. Like, if you're chasing someone, you can actually cast this Glacial Spike afar, throw your E in, and then pull them back and then combo them. And it's going to allow for some pretty epic playmaking, I feel.
Yeah, there's so many ways to combo around this. So I'm thinking, like, you put that down, you cast W, you cast the second E, and then you cast Q as they fly into it, and then you cast your ult as they get routed by the W. It's just, there's so many ways you can combo it as well. It's not like you have to do it in one specific way. As you can see, Jake is doing his own version. On the scene right now. But no,
do you like that?
I think...
Kill them with the Glacial Spike damage. Next level.
Yeah, I think it's just the way that his abilities work with each other is super fun.
Super fun. Like,
I'm really glad that Kyle Dates was the one who got to design Kel'Thuzad, because as heroes go, I'm always a big fan of the kits of Kyle Dates' heroes.
I was like, literally complimenting Zul'jin, just randomly talking. They're like, "Oh, so you like Kyle Dates heroes?" I'm like, "I guess so."
Yeah.
Shout out to Kyle Dates. I want to have him on the show someday. So we'll see. Fingers crossed, because guy is a baller. But let's talk about the heroic abilities. We have Shadow Fisher as the first. When we initially read the abilities, because we got to preview Kel'Thuzad like a little bit before the rest of the world since we were there. And Shadow Fisher, we were just like, oh my god, if you can clear minions across the map with this 15-second global AoE, it's going to be absolutely busted. But they've actually done a beautiful thing where it is, in fact, a 15-second global ability that does huge damage, but it has a 1.5-second windup. And in the event it doesn't hit a hero, it doesn't give you any vision. It does not do any PvE damage to minions or mercenaries. So it's still really good, but it's not as like... I mean, I still think it's one of the go-tos, but I don't think it's like an end-all be-all option for him.
Wait, so you can't use it to scout boss?
Correct, unless you hit a hero. If you hit a hero, you get vision. But if they sidestep and it hits the boss, doesn't do damage, doesn't reveal, nothing. Like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Damn, what a great implementation.
It is really clean, dude. It really is.
See, I didn't actually know that, and I was thinking, pretty scared like that ability, because everyone's just going to use it to check the boss, as it turns out. But
nope.
That was our first consideration,
cool.
is the PvE aspects and like vision. But I love the way this ability was actually implemented. Like,
perfect.
I'm so scared of how good this is going to be with like Dahaka or Illidan Hunt, like basically any global where they can also guarantee their CC'd. Like, you can just globally assist for kills on the map. But I feel like global influence on the map that's not actually your hero teleporting there is something that we are like really lacking in heroes. Because I think it, like, especially when it's implemented like this, where it's like a skill shot, you have to way predict them. Like, I think that makes for a lot of sick plays. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Even just being a 15-second ability in a team fight, though, it gives you zone control. Yeah. Because you just throw down two abilities, and it's just like, all right, choose your path. Like, you just start building a wall of abilities, and like, you can really outthink and outplay someone. Of course, especially in the chaos of a team fight where there's a lot of other shit happening too. He is beyond satisfying to play. We got to talk about his other ult, however.
You want to talk about satisfying to play? His other ulti, aka Cryoblast.
Frostblast, but yeah.
Yeah, but let's be real. Let's be real, though. Like, that ability is sick. It's like... it's a little slow. It's like a Pyroblast, but it doesn't have a windup, like a channel time. And when it lands, it doesn't do that much damage to the primary target, but it does a ton of damage to the side targets if any get hit. And it roots everyone. So I think this is a really cool ability because if you can manipulate your enemy's movements with chains or with your other teammates and set them up for CC, like this is insane follow-up. And it's like not quite as hard or to land or not quite as weird to use as like Ring of Frost or something, which is an ultimate that's kind of similar to this, but like way more situational, takes more setup. This like all you have to do is like Garrosh throw the target into their team or like chain two people together or something. Like yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I was imagining haymaking myself, but I guess that's a bit more unrealistic. So. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's just a very well designed hero. There is one thing that did slightly concern me, which they didn't seem to pay much attention to, and that is that the Q, it puts the AoE on the ground at the edge of the hero rather than the center of the hero, which is something. One of the heroes that I played a lot back in League of Legends was Karma, and she got like infinite better when they made a change so that when her empowered Q connected, it put that area under the target, under the center of the target rather than just at the edge. So that's something I might like to see them change. Depends on how it's playing, and if I'm thinking like, hey, it's the same issue where like right there you just got like one hit on Arthas even though you nailed him and he was like walking into you. Just because he turns around and it takes once.
Well, it's really reliant on you hitting up a chain combo with your W and your Q, right? Straight Qs are bad. His kit is about actually comboing, right? If you don't combo, you're not doing much damage. And I personally appreciate that. I think that is what the core design of the hero. He's so CC oriented that his damage should be tied into that CC, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see that.
But he's so fun. Like, holy crap, he's so fun.
Yeah. I had a blast. So, talents?
Yeah, so we already talked about a few of them. We talked about the... What is it? The phylactery, if that's how you pronounce that. We talked about... Level 10, we talked about Glacial Spike. Q build is what I played the most of, but Dunk, what do you want to talk about in specific?
I don't know if there's anything specifically as far as the talents that we didn't cover. Like, I think everyone's going to immediately see the phylactery and the glacial spike and be like, oh, these talents are sick. But, like, I think the rest of the talent tree is actually, like, I feel like there's a lot of interesting things going on. Like he has 3 defensive options at level 4, but they're different enough that they feel interesting. You don't feel like you're like forced into an unfun defensive option, which is something I really like. Some of the talent tiers that we used to have of like all defensive options were like just felt kind of bad, and I think these ones are interesting and they're based around your abilities and they really fit thematically as well. So I think that's awesome. As far as builds go, I think Q build is like going to be the go-to. I'm just starting Kel'Thuzad. I don't want a complicated build. I don't want extra activatables to press. Like, I just want to play him. But then I think like the combo damage build where you get Hungry and Cold at 16. So if you actually nail the center frost on them, like if you actually nail the frost nova on them, they take bonus damage from anything else, and you combo that, like, and you land your full combo on that, the damage potential is insane. So I can't wait for that, and playing around with that on live, because you can just like one shot 2 heroes if you pull 2 heroes together onto like frost nova and then you land the Q. It's like,
yeah, it's super cool.
Well, the thing for me is just that I feel all of his talents are like well designed to the point where like I enjoy the fact that I'm taking that talent, whereas I feel a lot of times in the past that's where we've kind of gone wrong with the talent system, is like it hasn't felt good to get that talent, whereas with Kel'Thuzad, I think almost every single one I look at that and I think, damn, I want that talent, but maybe I want that other one more or something. So I just think that's really cool. And yeah,
Yeah.
especially Glacial Spike and Phylactery. Those ones are super cool.
It's nice though that, like, you know, like Dunk was saying, Q build is probably going to be the beginner like way to play, and also a very viable way to play in general. But Accelerated Death is a really nice level 7 talent for your Q. However, Glacial Spike is clearly going to be an amazing talent as well. And like in the pro scene, we might see situations where teams forego Glacial Spike, right? But I find like the later the game goes, the more you're gonna want that Glacial Spike, because as you start to lose,
all the structures are dying.
Yeah. I mean, there's still 2 heroes, right? You still have that,
yeah.
right? But it's definitely an interesting problem to have, and Glacial Spike seems like a maybe it becomes a necessity in pro play. Who knows, right?
Maybe. I don't think so though. Like, I think actually his other 2 level 7 talents are both really strong, so I don't think you're going to need Glacial Spike, depending on like compositional matchups and stuff.
No. We didn't talk about level 20 talents, however, and one of them that I really like in the Q build is just Shade. You just get a 15-second cooldown where you summon a Shade. I should actually show it here, because it mimics your Death and Decay, so it's kind of like having that Chromie clone, except or a Water Ellie. That's it's more like a Water Elemental that mimics your Q from a standing location. And we have to point out that there in the Q build, I think your Q timer is like 2 seconds.
Yeah, the CDR is reduced per target hit, so like it's pretty insane if they're clumped.
Like if we go full Q build here, Q, and then we're gonna go Shadow Fisher, and then Arcane Echoes, and then the Damned Return. Cooldown on our Q. It says 6 seconds, but that's...
Well, so your trait complete reduces to 4. Reduced. Yeah, so 2 seconds reduced from your trait, so it's actually 4.
Yeah.
And then also, yeah, from the talent, and like every target you hit reduces it at 16, so like it's a pretty good CDR. And the damage is insane.
Damage is nasty.
My favorite level 20 talent, okay, I'm not necessarily the one I'm going to use, but my favorite is actually the level 20 upgrade to the Frost Orb, or Frost Bomb. It adds a slow after the root, but then any targets who die while afflicted by the root or the slow release their own frost, like a second Frost Bomb detonates on that location. So like it turns a 1-kill team fight into like just a huge kill everyone, because all you need is like if you get 1 extra bomb to go off, like the team fight is won if that even hits like 1 person. Like it's insane damage, and it's super hype. Like watching the domino effect is insane. I know they were like, I was playing it on like the Gamescom show floor, like the players were not that skilled, granted, but like I had one where it was like just the first one hit like 2 people, and then one of them died, and that guy's explosion hit 2 more people, and then the guy died off that one and like hit 2 more people. Like actually just full domino effect.
That's amazing.
Explosions. It was sick.
And Shadowfisher is the same way. If you hit Shadowfisher, if you hit 1 target, free Shadowfisher again. So in a team fight, if you're, you know, say you spam Earthquake and at level 20, you just got everyone CC'd or whatever, Shadowfisher, and it does monster damage. If you're summoned 3 in a fight and 2 of them hit, that's infinite DPS.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I mean, I don't know. I was really excited about shifting Malice as well. I just love the idea that, like, if you get a kill, it's like, yeah, I can move again. But if you don't, it's 240 seconds where it's just like, where's my ability gone? Like, damn it, I can't believe it. But yeah, I don't know. I just love his talents. I love his kit. Very happy with Kel'Thuzad.
I can't wait for him to be on live, man. Like, he's so much fun to play. But I know people are going to be banning him. That's what makes me mad, too. From PTR games, super hard to judge from like Gamescom show floor. There's no way to know, but like, even if he's like kind of good, people are going to be turbo banning him, and that's like so frustrating because I just want to spam this hero.
He's going to be turbo banned from Hero League.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
Yeah.
And like we've never, as far as I can remember, have a meta that existed for more than like a weekend that had where 2 mages was a thing, right? And I don't know that it's gonna be a thing, but Kel'Thuzad, Kael'thas, the KT combo is actually nasty. Fire and Ice, boys. Like, the amount of CC and the chains pulling you into living bombs and Phoenix sitting there, and like it's actually like we did it to Chew 8. We ran Kel'Thuzad, Kel'Thas, and Jaina. It was like me, Dunk, and March, and we queued against Chew 8 when he was streaming, and we straight made him suffer. Like, granted, it's not fair whatsoever, but it was like a 62-20 game or something. We had 2 randoms on our team as well, and like, but. I think there's some cool harmony, and if there's ever a draft where that ends up getting through, like they don't have any real dive for whatever reason, it's going to feel unwinnable to the other team in some cases. But still, the chance of that existing in the current meta is pretty much non-existent right now. But who knows? We can dream. All right, let's transition to this week's patch, because we've managed to talk about Gamescom content for an hour, even though we already did a whole show on that. Bakery wasn't here. It's a different cast, of course. That was the live cast. If you're listening to the MP3, that is a VOD-only episode 154. Whenever we do an episode at a live event, since it's a very different production quality, it is always VOD-only, as I feel that the human element of that room of people is essential, and the audio quality isn't quite to the same level. So if you really want to watch that, you're listening to the MP3 of 155 right now, you can go to youtube.com/arcane8 for 154. But let's talk about the patch that hit the servers this week. We've got some big changes to supports. Ariel, Uther, Tyrande all had changes, and some other changes as well. I am trying to stall while I load it up. Bakery, who do you want to talk about first?
Hang on. I am also doing the same thing.
I somehow ended up on the generic Blizzard website. All right, here we go. Update, August 28th. Patch. I know this is PTR patch. Feels bad. See, Bakery.
I got you.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh. HeroesPatchNotes.com?
Okay.
Dude, this site is legit, dude.
All right.
Wait, this site's actually amazing. This is a
This
great
site
site.
it's got like timestamps and stuff, and like tells you when the hero was last changed. Someone showed it to me yesterday when I was streaming. The site is actually super cool.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I think it's new-ish.
It's been out about a year, I'm pretty sure.
Well, shame on us.
Pretty new, like I said.
Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is Tyrande. So she received some more buffs, and I think she's probably overpowered now.
Dude, her baseline 4 seconds off the W, I played one game as her yesterday, and it was on Tomb of the Spider Queen. And again, this is like quick match. These are full potatoes. I straight just killed 3 people by just spamming owls because they just kept trying to turn it. I'm just going to keep shooting these owls, man. Like instant cast, because I was just on the other side of the coffer. And, yo, felt good. Feels good, man. I hope she's OP. That's what I want to hear. She's my most played hero.
Yeah, I played against Owl Build actually in Hero League yesterday, and it was insane. The owls were doing a lot of damage, and the CDR... Like, the CDR was pretty intense. There were some back-to-back owls, pretty much. Like
constantly, yeah. You hit 2 heroes, it's a free owl.
Full resets, like, a lot.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane. But I'm really happy that she's now in such a great position, because if you remember, when we did the TownHall Heroes episode that covered the patch that she and Alec got a rework in, we actually spent a full hour talking about Tyrande, much to the viewers' dismay, I believe. But
she's my girl.
as we now know, we are all big fans of Tyrande.
Yeah.
So it's good to see her in such a great position.
Specifically, and I was giving him my 2 cents. I was like, look, I'm really passionate about her in particular, and the TLDR is my perspective of her in the past is it felt really rewarding to hit a W in the fight, because that W would help you get out your next Q. It would help you get out your next E. And you don't really have that anymore. Right now, you're just a W machine gun, right, at best. And that still feels good, but it's not the same kind of satisfaction of a mid-fight, like, okay, I hit two targets with my W. Now I can cast an E, and because of that W, I just save this guy, right? And you still don't get that. Like the forced auto attacks to like reduce the cooldown in your Q. There's something about that just really isn't satisfying. I don't know what it is. Maybe there needs to be like a sound effect or something to make that feel more prominent. I don't know. It just doesn't give me that same kind of like, yeah, you know.
I'm I'm totally with you on that. I'm totally with you on that, Jake. But like I find new Tyrande very satisfying. I found old Tyrande insanely satisfying.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like I still think she's really fun.
I think, as we said on a show not too long ago, like the design of new Tyrande is like insane. It was like the best we'd seen at the time, and this was what gave us such great heroes like Stukov, Garrosh, Kel'Thuzad, and these new reworks as well, so like the Eoic. And this was the first one that really set us off in that direction. So the design work is amazing, but I do feel like the direction was a bit flawed for Tyrande. Because like you said, that was so much fun to be able to hit that money out, to get a second heal, a second stun, and just, really be very active in the team fight. Whereas now, like, being active and then getting rewarded with more heals, not quite as satisfying.
I don't know. I still think she's in a cool spot. Dunk, you think she's overpowered, as Bakery said, or what makes her?
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Okay, so I'm talking purely competitive. Don't really care about Hero League when I say these things. In competitive, like Owl is such a huge skill for like vision, and because people are very often doing something together and doing something that is predictable, you get a lot more stacks in competitive than you do in Hero League, despite the fact you think people maybe would dodge more. At the highest level of Hero League compared to the highest level in scrims and in games, you get more Owl stacks on average in scrims and in 5v5. Yeah. So that ramps up super, super fast. And right now, we're kind of in between metas on supports where sometimes you have two, sometimes you don't have two, sometimes you have very low healing, sometimes you have very high. A lot of the situations where you have very low healing, if you are like, okay, guys, let's take this easy camp, and a Tyrande Owl comes out of nowhere, she's got 80 stacks, just hits like all four of you, suddenly like your carries are like both half HP, and then you're like, there's another one coming, like guys, oh my god, yeah, like it's getting really insane. I think.
Dunk, what do you think about...
thing is Celestial Attunement. Yeah. That change was absolutely huge because this means it removes fear, it removes taunt, it removes
Stukov,
like
everything.
Wait, does it actually fully removes those effects?
It just cleanses taunt.
Yeah, it's just gone.
Holy shit! Wait, fear too, though. He said.
Yeah,
that's like
fear.
That's actually huge.
So like mind control. Any of these like, hey, that's not actually a status effect. Like status effects are basically either baked in roots or silences or stuns. Yeah. Like they all have to boil down to one of them. Fear is a silence, and so if you cleanse the silence part, it's just gone. So that's made her really insane as like a Dehaka counter of like Dehaka tries to tongue someone, you just Q it, no more Dehaka tongue, it's up way faster. You know, a nuke tries to stun someone, ETC stuns someone, Mjolnir stuns someone. It's really it just feels like she has a lot of tools in her kit right now, in terms of providing vision, in terms of shadow stalking and just like ganking someone, in terms of star falling and just making like an AoE area like inaccessible. It's getting insane.
For a long time, Dunk, you've been saying you want supports that aren't heal bots. In every way, shape, and form, here Q is more utility than healing at a high level play. And this has got to be super satisfying, right? The way that she's starting to flesh out as a hero.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tyrande has always been one of the more compelling heroes to have in the game because anytime Tyrande's in the meta, like there's more kill pressure in the game. People are being more active, like scouting information is value. I think she does a lot of things very interesting. Old Tyrande and new Tyrande both do. where her power wasn't all baked into her heal. And I mean, I think that's awesome.
But here's what you don't think is awesome, because I know you do not like Hunter's Mark. How do they make that more compelling thing? Because you actively hate Hunter's Mark. I know that.
Well, okay, I don't hate it. Like, I won a lot of games off Hunter's Mark. I just think one of the problems with Tyrande and why she's so fickle, like whether she's in the meta right now or how hard it is to balance her, I think all of that pretty much stems from the fact that Hunter's Mark just enables blow-up strategies, I think, a little too much. And I'm surprised we've never seen tweaks to it, really. Like, since the beginning of Alpha, it's been 25 armor, or 25% more damage taken. I mean, we've seen some changes to the armor system, so can't say they've exactly done nothing to it, but like the power levels remain the same. And I think like it's a little unhealthy that it just incentivizes single target blowups so much.
But there's so much protected by.
But overall, yeah, there is now a lot of protected, by the way. But still, I mean, I think Tyrande's awesome. I would like to see her trait changed, but overall, I'm way happier when she's in the meta than when she's not. Because Tyrande's, I think, like, Tyrande is an example of a hero where the tools that she has are, like, way better on offense than defense.
Which is so nice for support.
Which is
so rare.
Really nice. Yeah, because right now I feel like one of the problems in the pro meta is that so many of the defensive tools are so much more powerful. And this patch addressed a lot of those, like Uther armor, like Ariel healing, both got nerfed. Just because it's been so hard to kill people, I feel like, in a lot of competitive games lately.
Yeah. It's a great transition point. Uther losing his armor is now down to 15 instead of 25. And you know, there's some other changes here with the healing amount. They've increased the Holy Light healing to help compensate this, to try to keep him around the same level. I mean, what's the overall takeaway for Uther? Is this the right direction for him, in your opinion? He's been pooped on?
I think he's been pooped on by these changes.
You think?
I think so.
Okay. I mean, so I'm kind of with you, but I just want to set the disclaimer. If Uther, like, in his state last patch got pooped on, then he'd go to a reasonable level, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no. Okay, yeah. I'm with you. He got pooped on.
But... All right, that's fair. But that's a good thing. That brings him to, like, Rhaegar power, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably, yeah.
I'd say he's, like, certain games he's better. I'd say about 40% of the time he's better than Rhaegar, 60% of the time he's worse, but yeah, obviously you've got other healers, like Brightwing. If you have a Tassadar or a Tyrande, you can mix it up with even some weird ones like Stukov, Lucio with the changes to this patch as well. But the one thing I will say is a few weeks ago on Town Hall, we had a conversation about supports and the direction we'd like to see them take. And getting worse at what they're best at and better at what they're worst at was, I think, our main takeaway. And that's exactly what happened to Uther. So I was really happy to see him move away from that, like, specialized nature.
Kind of. I mean, I feel like losing the mana return on the W quest, like, I really don't feel like that was necessary at all. Like, he really struggles.
Well, give him a level 7 talent that is mana, oriented, right? His level 7 right now is purely stun focus. That's if you're worried about mana issues, that's the fix right there, right? Because he still has that massive gap in his kit where, like, if it's not a stun-oriented opposing team, then his level 7 is full Garbo. And he's the only character in the game I can think of where it's like a talent tier can be poop, like, period.
It's like just straight useless, yeah.
Like, and that's a problem. That's not a good thing. So give him some form of Conjurer's Pursuit or auto text return mana or whatever for Uther. Give him something, and I think he's primo.
See, Dunk, I agree with you. Like, those nerfs felt really bad the first few games I was playing Uther. I was just like, oh, I'm all the time. Like, the tank got worse anyway. Like, maybe I need to try other builds. But as I played more games, I actually realized, like, that talent's still really broken, and it did probably need those nerfs.
Oh, I think the duration nerf was absolutely required. No question. I think we talked about this, like, way long ago, too. Like, I totally agree with the duration reduction. I just felt like the mana might have been slightly heavy-handed, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's still fine. It's like, it's meaningful, but I don't think it's like devastating, you know?
Is level 7 still 50 armor? Or is it 30?
50.
So that's still super good.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Well, at least, you know, they're keeping something that's compelling against cleanse, right? That's always important to have other options that are going to feel really strong versus cleanse, considering the impact cleanse has always had on the game. Moving on to the other supports, is Tassadar... I mean, it's just a little bit more damage. Lucio, you know, this says that he just got more regen and health, but it didn't change his actual healing, did they?
No.
They did not.
That's just his max HP.
Yeah.
Anytime they change a hero's max HP, they also adjust its health regen, so it restores its health in the same amount of time, basically.
Heal more or anything, right?
Correct.
So,
yeah.
Ariel, it's really just the fact that she lost Bursting Light at level 7. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the big takeaway here, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure the trait change is also pretty dramatic. 25% more hope from anytime you hit heroes. Like, that's a shit ton more.
Yeah.
And that was already something that Bakery was harping on, is like, she's too good at healing when you're hitting heroes and too bad in PvE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with Bursting Light Gun, it's like a different hero. Like,
that's true.
So it's hard to say if these are like good changes yet, because a lot of people would just be like, "Oh, Bursting Light's gone. HCC's in like 4 days. No, thank you. Like, I'm not gonna touch that." So yeah, it's hard to say exactly how these affect her, but I do like that they removed the talent, because it was really ruining the hero, I think. I do like they then recognized, hey, this talent is the only reason she's even close to viable right now, so let's give her some buffs outside of that. We'll see like how on point they were in the future, I think.
No. Okay. Looks like there's some Zul nerfs, some dive nerfs in general on Shen. Looks like Thrall got some buffs. Do you guys want to go through everything? What are you guys thinking?
I'm thinking we can skip the super minor things. Like I was just looking at Zul'jin getting 10% more damage on a talent you can never take. Just then, so maybe we can skip that one.
Like, as far as the things I think are actually important, like everyone was okay. So I think the hunt nerf is important. Like, I think everyone can agree the cooldown was just too silly for a global, or like a pseudo global
with his trait, right? The fact
because of his trait,
the cooldown.
I mean, I think this nerf was really kind of out of left field. So we saw a whole lot of Illidan going back to just before mid-season, and we saw like Illidan a whole lot at mid-season, and then he started to phase out as people worked out better ways to counter him, better ways to play around his actual weaknesses. And he kind of got to the point where he wasn't really being picked at the highest levels by the best teams. And then they made this nerf, which was absolutely huge, almost doubling the cooldown.
Yeah, but with this trait, I mean, it's still like a 70-second cooldown, right? As a global, that's still like totally reasonable.
But his trait previously reduced like 1/60th of the max cooldown. Now it is 1/100th. So it's like a huge nerf to even how his trait affects the ability. So if it was 80 seconds, I would be like, yeah, I can see that. I think that was fair. But going up all the way to 100, that really felt like a change that was based on a previous meta and doesn't really have much place as we move forward now.
Okay, we'll just put this here. Dunk's got to take care of something IRL. Just make sure to keep him here in spirit. All right, that's fair. What do you think of these Kerrigan changes? Those felt like they were pretty out of left field to me, because I mean, you nerf Ravage, and it kind of hurts it a lot, doesn't it? They put more into the combo, and I don't know how this scales, but it seems like it would hurt like her Shrine's power. Maybe not. I don't play Kerrigan at all. I am like the worst Kerrigan ever.
So let's see. It was 18 damage removed. and only 14 damage added back. So it's like it's a nerf, first off, on that point, in terms of overall damage. Then it's a nerf in terms of how often do you use your Q compared to how often do you use your combo. Then it's a nerf compared to how do you actually use Kerrigan, or use her as a shrine resetter. And I don't know, this was one of two changes this patch where I was just like, I do not see the reasoning. And when I was looking at the website and looking at, oh, hey, like Kerrigan's numbers just got rebalanced because the website goes up a few days early, I was like, that's super cool because it means she's going to get a rework, right? They wouldn't just rework her numbers and do nothing else, right? So then when the patch notes were released and I saw they literally just changed the base numbers, I was very disappointed.
No.
But yeah, the other changes were the Chen changes, and I actually saw a comment from one of the balance designers on Reddit who said that the Chen and Kerrigan win rates were far outside of their 45% to 55% brackets at all levels of play and in all game modes. And the hot slugs data does not even close to corroborate that. So, you know,
but Hot Slugs is always going to be the more engaged player, right? Rather than just like every other matchup. And
because more and more people have got less happy about it, even though many other metrics have risen, the Hot Slugs replays have been dramatically falling rather recently.
Right, the relevance of Hot Slugs.
So it's getting less and less accurate.
Yeah, it's just worse and worse and worse and worse. So you got to trust what they're telling you. Their data is obviously cleaner than ours. They're not going to lie to the masses for a reasoning of a balance change. They can do whatever the heck they want. So I believe it.
Yeah, I trust them totally. I think more than anything, that is like a fascinating insight into the wow. Hot Slugs is getting less, like that's just telling me how much less accurate Hot Slugs is getting, that like they felt these were such outliers numerically that they had to make these changes when we did not have that evidence visible for us. And that's even more argument from my perspective of we need an API, I feel like.
Oh, God.
Like we need we need the real stats, man. Like we need the real stats. Like
we've needed it for 3 years now. But
but I was flabbergasted. I don't know, like I felt like Chen was strong, but I didn't feel like he was nerf zone. Kerrigan, I felt like I hated when I had a Kerrigan on my team at any time. I felt like she's pretty much always trash. So like
you gotta realize that like people that can't hit their stuns versus Chen, like in various leagues, Chen just gets infinite more value, right? He just kind of goes in, absorbs skill shots. People don't even understand what they're doing. They're just throwing skill shots in at Chen, and like even like Silver League, I know people that have thousands of games that are Silver League. And I guarantee you that Hungering Arrow is just going straight into Chen's belly. He's just brewing it up. Butcher was the other one that got nerfed even more because
he
of his
needed
power.
It,
dude.
He definitely needed it. But Butcher 100% made sense. Butcher's a hero that should never be meta. Butcher's a hero that should always be like on the fringe of
basically, here's your guide to what hero should be meta. If J-How favors it, it should never be meta. Butcher, Zagara, it just should not be meta. I love you, J-How. But
yeah, but I think everyone, as soon as the Butcher changes came in, everyone's like, oh, he's gonna need a nerf. So next patch he gets nerfed. Nobody's surprised. Like, pretty obvious.
Pretty hard hitting nerf by the look of it though. Which was like
yeah, huge nerfs.
So Thralls is really just to try to bring him up a little bit. Olarak, I do not play him as well, but this seems pretty good. Pretty nice, just tune up. Not game.
Yeah, I was actually playing the Lightning build Olarak the other day, and like, it seemed like a pretty big buff.
What flavor animal is that?
I think that's my Chihuahua and my Akita both whining at the door because someone's home.
Okay, just powering through here one more time, taking the last gander. Zool changes. I mean, he rose a little bit when he got the rework,
Oh, I think it's the classic issue of, hey, Zool's too good at PvE and he's ruining match-made games again. Like, damn it.
Cool.
We've been through this a few times before.
Yeah, we certainly have. Garrosh, just slight tune-up. I don't know if it really changes much.
Surprising buffs to me. I did think that Taunt was a bit underpowered, but yeah, I don't know.
I didn't expect them to add half a second duration. I expected them to be like, oh, Garrosh has 5 additional armor while taunting now, or something like that. Like, I think he just needed a tiny bit of something on taunt, but like an extra half-second duration makes that ability insane.
Yeah,
so
it's 2 seconds. I
believe that's the longest like click and forget CC in the game. Is it?
For AoEs, for sure.
Yeah, or
all
like
CC, I don't
stun
know.
is it in the game?
What's the
I mean, silence is 3 seconds on that.
Yeah, mouth silence is the only.
So that's huge. But...
I don't know. I'd have to...
Scary ability, but yeah, I was expecting maybe 5 seconds less cooldown. You know, maybe like has some armor and like 2 second duration. I'm like, Jesus. The 16 combo, which is really popular right now, is you Q someone, they kind of stun for like 0.5 seconds while they travel to you. You throw them, the stun for like 0.5 seconds in the air. They land 0.75 seconds from your talent. And then at the end of that, you taunt them. And you're looking at, this insane CC combo. Especially if you get, like maybe more than one. There's a really sick play that I've seen a few times in Hero League, which is you pull someone in, chuck them into their allies with that 16 0.5 second stun, run in, and then get a taunt on all 3 of them, which I thought was actually really hype.
That sounds amazing. So yeah, that sounds amazing.
I think Garrosh is probably in a really solid spot for Hero League now. I still think he's going to be a bit weak on the competitive side.
Oh, really?
Unless your name is Justin.
Dude, I saw some of his plays.
Like, Justin is the only person that has made Garrosh look good so far. Everyone else, I think, has lost every other game in HGC.
It gives us hope, though, right? To be able to figure that out, to find that balance, to be able to throw it. You kind of have to predict the Q, right? Like you can't just throw a team fight and consistently get the results you want. So there's a really cool balance with that, because if you land that Q and then throw that target, it's mega displacement in like a really snap way on like a hook can be, it's cool. It feels really good, I feel. But okay. I mean, that's the patch here for the balance patch. Obviously the support changes are probably the biggest part of this whole patch. And it's going to be fun to see where the meta lands when the Gamescom changes come into play, because now this is excluding everything we talked about with Jaina, Chromie, Leoric, and who am I forgetting? Medic, and of course Kel'Thuzad. So I'm actually very intrigued to see where everything lands after all that releases, and they might have other small changes with that. We don't know, right? I doubt it though, because it's on the PTR.
Yeah, there probably won't be anything else.
Unless a hero emerges that is literally breaking the game, I don't think we'll see any balance changes.
All right, well, let's transition to a really brief HGC segment, because since Twitch was down, we started the show an hour late, so we're technically a half hour over schedule right now. And let's just jump right into Europe, because I think that's really what we're going to focus on. Dunk and I were literally flying home from Germany during HGC for half the weekend, or at Gamescom for the other half of HGC. So we really didn't get to catch up. And Bakery, I know Europe had a weekend full of upsets.
Yeah, I think I tweeted something that literal insanity is the theme of this week's European HGC. Upsets everywhere, crazy players everywhere, insane games everywhere. I think there was, what was it, 38-minute game between TGG and Expert.
Oh, crap.
TGG ended up winning that series somehow. It's like, Jesus. Obviously, we had a very exciting series against Fnatic, which I really did feel like was one of the highest level series we've actually seen in the entire HCC.
Of course, he'll say that about himself.
Well, I mean, we did lose though, so yeah, I'm not that biased. Even playing Ducks looked very strong against us with Tyrande, by the way. She's broken. Like earlier that week, yeah, just really exciting all around for HGC.
What was the? Do you know what the owl count was at the end of some of those games? What was the pinnacle?
I
of
see.
owl stacks?
It was last patch, so it wasn't even owl build.
Oh,
It was
okay,
actually
okay.
just standard E build. It was still really strong. So
Nice.
Zealots stepped up big time this week, got a 3-2 on Tricks in a really close fought series, and then came out and dumpstered Liquid. Like, they look so good in that series.
That's insane.
But my favorite result of the week is the game below that, which was TZZ versus Expert. Obviously, you know, I'm not biased or anything like that, but I can't say I don't like it when I see Liquid and Expert lose, but
Because that
TZG really
favors
did
you.
step up. Yeah, no, nothing about that. But
To anyone that doesn't know, those are the teams that he's vying to basically dethrone to make it to BlizzCon.
yeah, so. But yeah, great games by Team Good Guys. They really did. Like, it wasn't as if they were gifted the win or Expert messed up, like maybe some would say about playing Ducks and Fnatic in Phase 2 Part 1. They really did work for it, and they actually did outperform Expert on the day, which was really cool to see.
That's great to hear.
That's really cool.
I'm definitely gonna have to catch up on those VODs. But no, that's definitely. I mean, you look at the standings now, seeing Expert, you know, even below Zealots after the midseason brawl. This is week 1 of HGC's return, and historically, week 1s can be pretty crazy after any kind of split, any kind of LAN. You know what we came back from the Western or the midseason brawl, and that's when Dignitas and Roll20 all were struggling, and you know the Western Clash naturally shaking things up once again, but. Did you watch EU Bakery? Because Dunk and I were, again, pretty much out of the loop.
Do you mean NA?
Yeah, and did I say EU? NA. Did you watch
NA?
NA?
Yeah, I was the fair amount of NA. I can talk about some of it. Roll20 came out looking strong, as they did in community tournament, very successful called Bloodlust. They kind of continued that form. Definitely looked like the strongest team in North America, although they have not yet played Gale Force. So we're looking forward to that matchup for sure, to see who is truly the top dog.
If you're looking at this and you're saying, who the hell is Lag Force? That is Naventic. Space Station Gaming is no tomorrow. So Space Station is a sponsor.
That's the other thing, is Lag Force looked sick.
That's interesting to hear.
Like, okay, I mean, sick, maybe exaggerating, but they came back out and they were good enough that they beat Superstars and wait, who's the other team? I think Space Station.
They beat Space Station, who used to be No Tomorrow, and that match I really would have expected to go the other way, because No Tomorrow looked way better in the first phase than Naventic did.
And yeah, it was the same thing. I really do feel like Lag Force showed up, outperformed Space Station, and got the win.
I love that their thing is a sloth. Like,
but yeah,
who was in support? Was it
looking
Tomster?
very dominant there. Yeah, still Tomster. They're keeping the same roles from week 2 of part 1.
That's good. That's what they need to do.
But
they just need to commit.
Roll20, 3-0ing Team Freedom and Tempo Storm. That's a statement.
That's nuts.
Yeah. That makes them really good for BlizzCon spot already. Like, those are two really important teams to beat.
I mean, meanwhile, by the way, Gale Force did not look clean against Even in Death.
They 3-0'd, but it wasn't that clean.
I feel like that's the
3-0'd,
story.
but it was a bit spotty, for sure.
Hasn't that been the story of all of Gale Force's wins, though? Like, even
they perform exactly as well as they need to. Okay,
well,
exactly. Yeah,
that's
no more,
literally
no less.
That's literally what C9 always was for a long time too, though. Like, let's be real. Like, you know, you could be the #1 team versus the #8 team, and you're gonna win, but you're not gonna absolutely 4-level lead crush them the way that it might be expected from a Korean team, right? That's what Korean teams do.
Yeah,
that's what
European
world-class teams do.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's hype. I'm actually really excited to get back in the groove of watching HGC, just because, like, you know, the break and then Gamescom, it's been, I feel like I've been missing something in my life. But we do need to wrap things up because TLDR, I got stuff to do. It's 8:30 and we usually end at 8. So Baker, let's go to the shoutouts, man.
Yeah, so shout outs to Team Dignitas and all of our sponsors, of course. I don't think I've said it on the show yet, so if you see these awesome Dig logos above me, I can't cut them off. Damn, what terrible camera framing. You can see a fan actually made these. They're made out of metal. They're really solid like things, and I put them up on my wall because I thought they were so cool. So huge shout out to Jeff Teagland, who made those for our whole team. A great guy.
Don't mess with Bakery. He's got Dignitas shurikens he will throw at you.
I'm not sure how well they fly, you know, like.
Well, but only one way to find out.
Anyway, you can catch us in the HGC this week. We have 2 important games. We're going to have to hold strong against TGG after their exciting performance in week 1. And we'll also be taking on Expert, which could very well be the deciding match between who gets that 2nd seed to BlizzCon.
Damn. That's epic. Already?
Yeah.
Dunkle Train, or Duncan, as he has been named now.
Oh man.
Can I tell the story? Can I tell the story really quick?
Yeah, how about after my shoutouts of the story, and then I can walk away from my desk in shame as you tell the story.
Good.
That way I don't have to hear it. Anyway, for me, I don't have anything exciting like that coming up for the weekend as far as HGC games go. I am just going to be streaming my usual at twitch.tv/dunktrain or twitter.com/dunktrain. You can find me to see when that goes live and stuff. And, after the Gamescom break, probably just going to be trying to get back in the groove, grinding those streams. Really looking forward to Kel'Thuzad release next week. So those will probably be long streams. But until then, just trying to get back into it.
Yeah, man. I wanted to find the tweet, but it is infinite too much effort because Gamescom tweets were plentiful. So we hung out, the first day of Gamescom is actually like media day. So it's not open to the public, but it's open to like anyone with media passes. There was some girl, I don't even know who she was friends with or how she ended up like hanging out with us for a while, but she tweeted out after like, mingling with us as we walked around and looked at all the different booths. With a shout out like shout outs to Kendrick Swish, Solid Jake, GG Marge, MF Pallytime, and ... Duncan. And we all just died laughing because DUNCAN Duncan, it's just like a normal name, and she just straight thought he was Duncan. So Duncan Train, or Donkey Train, because donkey means thank you in German. We call them donkey. You got a lot of names in Germany, man.
It does seem like that.
He was living it up in Germany, dude.
But speaking of Germany, monster shout out once again to Blizzard for making that happen. Right, it was so cool to obviously, Dunk and I, we would have loved to have been able to actually stream the game, but just having the experience of being part of Gamescom, being able to meet the European fans. There's so many fans of Bloodlust and TownHall, and that was like kind of new for me, honestly. Previous events like Katowice or IEM at Prague, I didn't have a lot of time to interact with people, and honestly, I didn't meet fans that were like, I love TownHall or I love Bloodlust in Europe. I get that at NA events. And to finally experience that in Europe was like motivating, right? It made me really proud of TownHall. It made me really proud of Bloodlust and everything we've created here on the Arcanate channel. And that was a really cool takeaway for me that I wasn't really anticipating. So big thank you to Blizzard and big thank you to all the fans in Europe at Gamescom. Everyone I met, shout outs to you guys because it truly was a blast being there at that event and just being part of that Blizzard magic that was born for all the booths, really. Like, I love Blizzard games, and it felt like EU BlizzCon. It truly did. Sorry for this stream not being live. We tried. We delayed an entire hour.
We really tried.
We really tried. Yeah, thanks for tuning into episode 155. I guess we'll be back next week with 156. And GG's. Shoutouts to my boy Azoya. I love you. I'm pushing the button. It's not going. It's lagging. It says it's gonna go. Do I just end it? I'll hit a different button. Oh, that one worked. This is the best close of a show ever. We're gonna give it a go again. Welcome here to TownHall.